Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're here for today's episode of Touch 'em All for Tuesday, August 9th. I'm Dalton Brown. I'm here joined by BC. He's at BC_Houston1 on Twitter. I've got my new handle at Dalton on Sports, where all this stuff will be going from here on. Looking forward to diving through a full slate today. BC and I have been putting up some really nice numbers the last couple days on baseball. I know BC yesterday alone was up over 7 units, so some good work there. Excited about it, but more excited to hopefully continue that momentum today. We do have a game that's going to start up here at 4:10 Eastern, so about 40 minutes from now. So we're going to go ahead and jump through that one first. Then we'll go through the rest of the slate in rotation order. In the meantime, just want to make sure that we mention Sports Map Elite. We as a team, we've been doing really well with the wagers we've been putting out. We'd love it if you checked it out and gave it a try. It's $19.99 a month. Really talented group of people. Looking forward to football season. Big stuff coming up. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start jumping through the games one by one. The first game on the board here is actually going to be 9-1-3 Chicago White Sox, game one of a doubleheader against 9-1-4 Kansas City Royals. That's going to be looks like Lance Lynn and Brady Singer on the mound. White Sox a small favorite, over under 8 runs in this daytime game. I do not have any action on this one, and I've got action on a lot of different things today, so I'll let you go ahead and start us out.
Yeah, you showed me your cheat sheet earlier, and I was like, "Holy cow, that's some serious results that your process dealt you." So that's pretty cool. I've got a small play on the very first game. Lance Lynn, he's going to continue to be fade material. He's given up 5 runs in his last three. 5 runs in 3 of his last 5. He's been terrible at home, worse on the road. Give up a lot of home runs. Opponent BA is around 270. He did have a quality start versus Kansas City on the third, I think, but he's still almost 7.95-ish ERA on his last four road starts, pardon me. White Sox road offense, of course, bottom of the barrel. Bullpen has been average-ish. They did lose all-star Tim Anderson. You might be able to let me know what's going on with this. I know he's supposed to serve the last game of his suspension for game one today. Now we find out he's out for 4 to 6 weeks on an injury. So I didn't really have time to dive into that today. I just saw that I knew he was going to be scratched for today, but he's not even part of my cap for game two today. He'll be out for quite a while, and that is not good for a White Sox team who's trying to compete in the Central. Royals bullpen has just been atrocious. There's no way you can ever take a Royals full game unless you're looking at doing an over or something like that. But I'm a big Singer fan. He did give up 4 runs to Chicago last outing, which is the last time they met, his last start, I should say. But otherwise, he's been solid. He's been great at limiting walks, good strikeout numbers. I like Singer. I don't like Lynn. You can't play the Royals past halftime unless you're looking at an over. And both teams are actually damn near 50-50 season on over and under. So give me Singer. You can get him on the money line for the first 5 for even money. So that'll be a small play I have on that one.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, looking at the starting pitching matchup with Lance Lynn to me is just really volatile right now. 2 of his last 3 starts have actually been scoreless, but then, you look at what he's done since he came back from the injured list. I mean, he's allowed 5 or more runs in 7 of 10. I mean, that's just hard to even imagine. And he did just see Kansas City. Both these pitchers, like you said, just saw one another. Looking at how each team does against righties, they're both sort of middle of the road, but the White Sox are a little bit better against right-handed pitching since July 1st. Obviously, you touched on the Royals bullpen. White Sox rank 11th, Royals 25th since mid-July in the bullpen. So pretty big discrepancy there. I think if you're going to look at the Royals, first 5 is definitely the way to do it. Looking at Brady Singer, he's looked pretty good. His Savant page yields around a 3.77 on the day. It's not too bad overall. He had 9 scoreless innings in his first 2 appearances against Chicago this year, and then they lit him up for 11 hits the last time he saw them. So, this is just a pure stay away game for me because I think that there's just too wide of a range of possible results with these 2 starters. But I think if you had to look one direction, Kansas City in the first 5 is probably the right direction to look.
Yeah, something small, just something to whet the appetite. We got a ton of action today, so I'll back Singer and I'll fade Lynn anytime I get the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, my avalanche of action is about to begin here with 9:01, 9:02 as we jump back into normal rotation order. That's Miami Marlins at Philadelphia Phillies. That's a 7:05 p.m. Eastern time game. Phillies massive favorites minus 230 with Zach Wheeler on the mound, over under 7.5. Really interesting piece was actually published today on the Marlins starter Braxton Garrett at Baseball Prospectus, talking about how he's moved his arm angle up about 20%, and he's seen fewer walks and better movement with his pitches. And I think he's generally a guy to watch positively, Braxton Garrett for the Marlins. That being said, I think today's probably not the day to back him. My bet on this game is going to actually be on Philadelphia to score first. The reason I like that so much, you look at the first inning ERAs for these two pitchers. Zach Wheeler, 1.35 in the first inning. When he's come apart, it's typically been late in his starts, whereas Braxton Garrett's ERA in the first inning is right around 5. So while Garrett's been pitching well overall, his expected ERA is around 3.4. When he struggles, it tends to happen early in games. And this is a red-hot Philadelphia offense that just scored 38 runs in its last 4 games against Washington. It's also a Philadelphia offense that ranks 7th against left-handed pitchers since July 1st with a WRC plus of 116. So a lot of numbers. What it comes down to for me, Philadelphia is playing really good baseball. They're hitting lefties well. Zach Wheeler's been absolutely lights out. You look at what he's done. I mean, he's routinely going 6 or 7 innings, routinely allowing maybe a run or two. He's basically had one bad start since April, and other than that, he's been really lights out. So, I think he's definitely a guy that I want to be backing. I think Miami, at least once or twice through the lineup, may not score at all. So I think Philadelphia to score first. I'm getting that at minus 130. I think that's a really good look in this game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I can't remember the last time I didn't make money back in Wheeler. He's top 10 starter. I don't think it's arguable anymore. 2.69 ERA, 1.58 at home. Comes in great form. 2 runs or less, last 4 starts. 7 inning pitched in 5 of his last 6 starts. So he's been eating innings, and he's been doing a damn good job keeping offenses down. You mentioned Braxton Garrett. He's been doing a good job as well. He's doing a great job of limiting damage by hard hits and walks. He's been doing a good job in that, but he's not getting any help. That's the problem. He might be able to go out there and shut the ponies down, but he's probably going to end up being a hard luck loser. That seems to be the trajectory because the Fish just aren't doing anything to help the boy out. Problem is the bullpen's mediocre, and they traded some arms, but the offense is still putrid. So we got Chisholm and Soler out as well. So I like Wheeler in the first 5 or under because I think both pitchers will be effective today, especially when you look at the production in Philadelphia. I think they had like 38 or 39 runs. Now, granted, it was against the Nationals, but now they have a day off. So there is a concern for them being a little bit flat. I really want Philadelphia to get into that bullpen. I think that's where we are going to comfortably lay the run line or comfortably cash the run line on this one. Again, Philadelphia off to a great start, but they did have the day off yesterday after that freaking scoreboard breaking bonanza against the Nationals. So this could be a spot where they could be a little bit flat. Braxton Garrett's definitely the guy to slow them down if he does a good job getting out of the first inning, as you already gave stats to. So give me a low-scoring game, but I think as soon as Garrett hits the showers, Philadelphia erupts. So I do like the Phillies minus 1.5.
Sounds good. All right, moving on. We've got the Reds and the Mets, 9:03, 9:04 from Citi Field in New York. Reds, gigantic underdogs, plus 255. Mets minus 305 at home. Total here of 8.5. I don't have any bets here. I think the Mets should be this big of a favorite, if I'm being honest. So, I'm curious to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this game. Couple notes I took though. I don't have anything, man. My only 2 misses yesterday. I had a great day yesterday, as you said, over 7 units. My only 2 misses were on the damn game, the first game of the series. I missed the Nerfy and the Reds first 5, and Reds first 5. Both of them I had a single unit down on. I mean, I wasn't going large on anything. It was just way too much value. And I did get the under though in that game. I had 3 wagers on that, so I went 1 for 3. 1 and 2, I should say. I had a little too much faith in Dunn and way too much faith in the Reds offense, especially on the road. I like them to actually probably put up some runs today, though, against Cookie Carrasco. Reds have been hitting more productive versus lefties than righties. Number up in at one. Get checks out. A number opened at plus 190. Now it sits at plus 260. So, I mean, I did the same thing yesterday. tried to take the value undone. It'd make me nauseous to try and do the same thing again to try and get some of the a value bet on Mike Minor. He's been better though. I think he's last 3 or 4 starts, 3 runs or fewer. He'll get some help. City Field, obviously Pitchers Park. I lean over. I think the Reds can get to Carrasco a bit. I think the Mets do get to Minor, or they get to one of the worst bullpens of the league enough to get some runs up. They haven't scored less than 5 runs since the first of the month. I'm leaning over 8.5, but I don't have anything official here. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any bets on the game at all. Just kind of diving into the starting pitchers, Mike Minor has just not been good. He's got a 6+ ERA, both road and home. His expected ERA is around 5. So I guess you could argue there's some positive regression due, but I mean, that's not encouraging. He's allowed 3 or more earned runs in actually 9 of his 11 starts. He's also walked 3 or more hitters in 4 consecutive starts entering tonight. So just really not a whole lot to be encouraged by. The Mets are top 3rd in the league against lefties dating back to July 1st. They're at a 114 WRC plus in that split. The Reds have a WRC plus of just 80 against right-handed pitching. And I actually think Carlos Carrasco is in a pretty good spot here today. His Baseball Savant page is fairly average, but if you look at what he's done recently, his July was lights out. 30 innings, 3 earned runs through the entire month of July. His one start in June was against Atlanta, obviously a tough opponent, but he pitched pretty well. 6 innings, 3 earned. Neither bullpen's been awesome recently, but the Mets bullpen, is certainly the more talented. So I don't see how you can argue that there's any value on a side other than maybe Cincinnati just because the number is so big. But I don't see why you'd want to back them, right? Like, even if a number is big, I still need some kind of an encouraging factor to want to get behind a team like that. And there just isn't one today. So just kind of a game that doesn't really interest me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I did that same value chasing yesterday, and it didn't work out for me. So I can't do it again. I thought I had some sort of advantage with Dunn. First time he'd seen first time the Mets had seen him going first 5 before they got into that bullpen, but I was terribly wrong. So not repeating that same mistake again. Plenty more to bet on.
Yeah. All right. Well, next game, 9:05 Washington Nationals are at Wrigley taking on the Cubs, team 906. Cubs, big favorites, -200. Over under 7.5 in this one. This is one of the last few games I don't have any action on either. So, if you want to kick this one off too, that would work for me.
Yeah, another little baby wager here. You and I cashed 3 tickets yesterday on this on game 1 of this game. So that was really, really good job by you and I. I had a 3-dimer on the Cubs run line. It got us there pretty much without much sweat. Nats continue to be fade worthy, loses 6 straight. They still haven't won since the All-Star break, I don't think. I think they got one from New York last month, but regardless, they have a run differential of -31 in that 6-game streak. So it's just been terrible. Pitching as a whole, I think ERA is clearly over 9. Look at the Cubs, 6-3 at home at Wrigley. Now they did play the Pirates and the Marlins, so obviously the win-loss record's a little inflated, but the Nationals are a baseball team and even lower quality. So, I mean, basically the Baby Bears are taking care of business versus the bottom feeders in front of the home crowd. They probably get it done tonight. Problem is, Espino's been really good, actually, out of the pen. Out of the pen, yes, not so great as a starter, but he is still capable. Philadelphia torched him pretty good in his last start, though. I don't know quite what to make of that. He could come out there and have a decent outing, but he'll most likely get hammered like the rest of the Nationals pitching staff all season. Stroman, he's just been confusing. Season numbers have not been great, except for his last start versus St. Louis, I think. He had some good appearances versus the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Giants, though. He had 4 or 6 strong. 4 was against the Dodgers, so he did pretty good in those appearances. Wind's going to be blowing in double digits. So that I was kind of leaning towards the over. Then I saw the weather report. I'm like, well, hell. Give me the Cubs. I think the Cubs probably get the run line done again, and you get it for even money right now. So, yeah, I'm small on the Cubs to continue dominating the Nationals, -1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the way I'd lean on this game, and I might end up playing it if I decide I want a 13th bet on the card today. You look at the Cubs. Well, first you look at Espino, Paulo Espino. This is a guy who's allowed 4 or more earned runs in 3 of his last 4, as well as 5 of his last 7 starts. So he's consistently, given up 3, 4, 5 earned runs in the first 5 innings of a ball game. His expected ERA is close to 5. Big difference here in bullpens too. The Cubs actually have the number 1 bullpen in baseball dating back to July 15th. The Nationals are 20th over that span. And then looking at Stroman, he's got a pretty similar baseball savant page to Espino in the sense that they both don't walk a lot of guys, but their contact profiles aren't great. But Stroman's is a little bit less extreme. And I look at what he's done recently. He posted a 0.89 ERA in July, allowing only 2 earned runs in 20 2/3 innings. And he actually looked really good in his one August start as well. Pitched into the 7th, allowed 3 runs. So there's really only one team here that I think gives you any faith. I think the Cubs have a starting pitching advantage, a bullpen advantage, and a lineup advantage. So Cubs minus 1.5 at plus money. I'm seeing it at plus 105. I actually think that does make some sense, and I may end up adding it.
Awesome. Forgive me. I'm battling over here with my Chargers.
Next game, we've got 9:07 St. Louis Cardinals heading up to the mountains and 9:08 Colorado Rockies. Cardinals minus 166 favorites, over under 11 runs in this one. It's going to be Miles Mikolas and Ryan Feltner. I don't have any wagers here, but I know you do, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah. This is my big bet of the night right here. Redbirds. Man, looking good right now. Swept the Yankees. 7-game heater, now the number 1 team in the National League Central. So they are red hot right now. Rockies, red hot as in hot garbage since the break. They've only won 5 games since the break. I think they've lost 3 times as many. Home record was only 2 or 3 of those wins. They're not getting any relief in the mountains. Miles Mikolas, he's been a bit on pitcher at home, not so much on the road. He does have numbers from 2 starts at Coors. It didn't go well. 7 earned, 4 long balls, and 9 2/3 pitched. His batted ball profile describes a control pitcher with average to below velo and spin. So he really relies on placement to limit hard contact, and he's not been doing terrific at that. Barrels, hard hit, exit velo, all higher than the league average. So I say all that to say he might have some issues tonight at Coors being such a contact pitcher, but I'm just not worried about it, Dalton. The Rockies are just so damn bad right now, man. They're just awful. I don't have much to say on Feltner, except he's just been a gas can himself. 1.45 whip, 5 3/4 ERA. 3 appearances all season where he didn't give up a home run. This guy averages less than 5 innings pitched. That's terrible. That's just awful. The guy's a pitching machine, basically. He was not going to be in there very long. He's going to hand it over to a bullpen as DFL or second to ERA, whip, strikeouts, a bunch of other metrics since the break. The Cards' offense has been coming in streaks, but they did just put 12 on the Yankees. And I think they get theirs tonight in Colorado. I like the Cardinals a lot tonight. That's going to be one of my biggest plays. Actually, my biggest play, of the night.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think the Cardinals are certainly the more likely team to win the game. The only thing that keeps me off of them, you mentioned the numbers of Mikolas at Coors. But the Rockies are a mess. Feltner has not been impressive at all. He's been up and down from Albuquerque all season. His last 3 appearances were all less than 4 innings, so you don't think he's going to pitch long into the game at all. And obviously, the Rockies bullpen is very gettable. So, I actually kind of lean to an over here at 11 because I don't have a ton of faith in Mikolas either. But I've got so much action, and this is just not a game that I'm that interested in. So.
It landed right on the number for me. I'm like, I've got this probably about 11. I'm making it about 11 and a half, and I think it opened at 11, quickly got bet up to 11 and a half. I'd be more interested in the Cardinals. I'd be more interested in the Cardinals team total. Problem is, like I mentioned, they just hung 12 on the Yankees. Now they're traveling. It's just an odd spot. It's a spot where you could very easily see them come out flat, or at least not put as many runs up early on Feltner as they need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the run line there. I just don't think, even if they do put up a few runs or a lot of runs, the Rockies just aren't going to keep pace.
Sounds good. All right.
Dalton, give me just 1 second, buddy. I need to go ahead and change Chargers on here before I lose you. I apologize. Go ahead and cover Pirates, Diamondbacks, and I'll jump in just 1 second.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Yeah. 909 Pittsburgh Pirates, 910 Arizona Diamondbacks. This is Diamondbacks decent favorite here, minus 153. Over under 8.5. Zach Thompson and this fella Henry on the mound, whose first name I can't remember. Tommy Henry, that's right. Brand new pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Neither one of these guys have very good numbers at all. Over under 8.5. I actually like Pittsburgh in the first 5 innings at plus 140. Reason why for me, you look at Zach Thompson. Obviously, he doesn't have very good numbers, and his baseball savant numbers aren't great either. But he did put together 7 consecutive starts from late May through mid July, where he allowed 2 earned runs or fewer. Then he had 2 pretty ugly starts, and then he actually looked pretty okay his last time out. So, I trust Zach Thompson a decent amount more than I trust Tommy Henry. Henry's only made 1 major league start. He was beaten up a bit by Cleveland in that start in his major league debut. Also walked 3 in that start. So, 2 pitchers here who I think are well below average. But I don't think that the talent discrepancy between these two teams warrants the difference that there is here. I would make this game closer to a pick 'em. And Pittsburgh in the first 5 innings at plus 140, you get to avoid that bullpen. You got 2 lineups that are not all that different from one another. So, I think for me, it's just I'm getting the pitcher with more experience. I'm getting a team that I think is just as good as their opponent, and I'm getting plus 140. I probably wouldn't play it if it was even money, but I like the value there on that one in the first 5. Looking at some of the details here, Arizona, Pittsburgh, both bottom half of the league against righties since July 1st. Pittsburgh's bullpen has actually been pretty good, but Arizona's has been better. They're both, top 10 since mid-July. But yeah, it's going to be Pittsburgh first 5 for me at plus 140. That game's going to be a 9:40 p.m. start tonight on Eastern time. Here he is.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Sorry about that.
All right. Do you have anything on that one?
No, I did not. That's all you, man. I did not have much interest in that. Just at a glance, I thought the under might be worth a look. Or are you on?
I'm on Pirates first 5 plus 140.
Keller, yeah. I like that.
I just think you've got 2 pitchers who are both well below average. One of them's got a lot more experience, and one of them, you look at Zach Thompson, his numbers for a good part of the season have actually not been too bad. Mm-hmm. And I don't show a huge talent discrepancy, so I just don't see a reason why a guy making a second major league start for Arizona is going to be a favorite like this. I just don't get it. So,
yeah, Keller's been up and down, but I definitely major edge on the mound for the Bucks, especially a damn good number. Plus, what would you get at? Plus what?
Well, I got Pittsburgh first 5 plus 140, and it's nice. Zach Thompson that I'm backing in that one.
Nice.
Thompson. Yeah.
I keep saying Keller. I'm sorry, Thompson.
they're all Mitch Keller to some degree.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
All right. Next game we've got 9-1-1 San Francisco Giants, 9-1-2 San Diego Padres. It's gonna be Alex Cobb and Joe Musgrove on the mound there from San Diego. Padres minus 173 favorites, low total here at 7. I've got some notes. Don't have a play, so let's go ahead and jump in here.
Yeah, I don't have a play on this either. I was listening to VSiN this morning, and they were debating about Musgrove being a fade-worthy pitcher. And you look at his metrics and his expected ERA, FIP, you actually would support the theory. Looking at his current form, this definitely supports the theory. 12 earned his last 16 innings pitched over 5.5, 0-5 if you care about wins and losses. He's not been very good. I'm not going to call him a fade pitcher necessarily, but he is definitely fading from the guy who started off earlier this season, an early Cy Young contender. Giants countering with Alex Cobb has been tremendous amount of bad luck, actually. Take a look at his expected. It's crazy. Actual sitting a little over 4 ERA, 2.79 expected, 2.81 fielding independence. Ouch. He's not got a ton of run support either or defensive support. The Giants are one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and the bullpen is still trash. Pretty good movement inflating the Giants' money line. I can't get there, though. San Francisco offense has been so up and down. Bullpen's still terrible. Then, of course, they got Soto and Bell on the other side. So I don't have a play on this game. It might be a Giants first 5 to buy into the fading Musgrove theory. But the Padres offense can still erupt at any time. So this is very much a stay away game for me. What do you got?
Yeah, I think San Francisco first 5 is the angle I'd play if I had to play the game. Just some notes on the starters. You talk about Alex Cobb being due for positive regression down to his 2.79 expected ERA. I think you hit on the reason why we can't necessarily expect that to happen. He's very much a pitch to contact guy. He throws a heavy sinker. He does a good job of suppressing expected slugging percentage with that sinker. And the Giants just have not fielded the ball behind him nor behind any of their pitchers. And so, unfortunately, I think, the version of him that we've seen with the ERA right around 4 is probably who he's going to stay because of the team he's playing in front of. That being said, I still think he's pretty good. You look at the other side, Musgrove, 4 or more earned runs in 3 of his last 4 starts, despite the fact that 2 of those starts were against Colorado. So not a very good look there. The thing that keeps me off San Francisco here, they've actually seen Joe Musgrove twice this season. He's absolutely eaten them alive. 14 innings pitched, no earned runs. He went 7 shutty in both those starts. Obviously his baseball savant page is still pretty strong, 3.41 expected ERA. It gives you some room for negative regression, but it's still a pretty good pitcher. So, I think Joe Musgrove is a guy that I would be aiming to fade under normal circumstances, but San Francisco doesn't hit righties well. Their bullpen's terrible. They've been dominated by him earlier this year, so I don't see value either way.
Agreed.
All right, heading down the board, we've got 9-1-5 Toronto Blue Jays, 9-1-6 Baltimore Orioles from Camden Yards. I'll go ahead and jump in here. I do have a play. It's going to be Alek Manoah and Kyle Bradish on the mound in this one. Blue Jays, moderate favorites, minus 149. Orioles, plus 134 at home, over under 8.5. Looking at these two starters, Kyle Bradish, kind of a middling walk to strikeout profile, but he's been absolutely lit up when people make contact against him. His expected ERA is 5.5. He made 1 start against Toronto not terribly long ago, 4 1/3 innings, 5 earned runs, 9 hits. So not a good situation for him. And Toronto's a top 3 team in baseball against right-handed pitching since July 1st. So not a good situation to be facing Toronto. He has been pretty okay in his 2 starts since getting called back up, but I would not have a lot of faith in him here. And then on the flip side, Alek Manoah is a guy who, I've talked about this on Patrick Creighton's show. I've talked about it on this show before. He struggles when he pitches a lot better when he pitches against teams with over 500 records. And I think the way Baltimore is creeping up on Toronto in the standings, I think he's going to come out with a really focused effort today. He's going to have his best stuff. You look at what he's done season long. Obviously, the savant page is excellent. His expected ERA is around 3.2. He's actually faced Baltimore once this year, 6 innings, no earned runs, 1 hit in that one. So he's been consistently good all year, especially good against teams that are perceived to be pretty good, which Baltimore's starting to get that perception. So I like Toronto, first 5 innings, lay in the half run at minus 117 quite a bit here. I think it's a starting pitching mismatch, and we've got a team in Toronto that absolutely mashes right-handed pitching.
Like it. A solid handicap. Cashed a nice stack yesterday. I had Baltimore first 5, and then I took the run line for a nice little plus money payday last night. But I am trying to get to the other side with Manoah. He faced Baltimore once this season, shut him out over 6 innings. I think he only allowed 1 hit. Bradish, if there's one pitcher who can be taken advantage of in this surging Baltimore's starting pitcher lineup, it's going to be him. He's been better of late. He was awful at the beginning of the season. Came back from a shoulder surgery, I think. Allowed 5 runs in 4 innings this year against Toronto. So he could get blown up very easily. Let's see here. I think they get Romano back. He's been untrustworthy, though. The whole Blue Jays bullpen, as a matter of fact, has just been very, very shaky. Manoah's road woes are a concern to me, but not – those are only a half game out of the wild card spot in the AL. The last spot. I don't know. I'm conflicted on this. The Toronto Blue Jays probably win the baseball game, but damn it, the Orioles are just so hot right now. And even with Bradish on the mound and with Manoah being somewhat mortal on the road, I don't know. Maybe the Jays team total over. Manoah's K prop is actually only sitting at 4.5. It's really heavy juice though. I'm probably not going to have a play on this, but if I did, it'd be a team total over, or you pretty much convinced me maybe Manoah laying the half run. But there's no action for me on this game.
Yeah, one other note that might surprise you, if you actually look at these bullpens since July 15th, Toronto 3rd in baseball, Baltimore 6th. That surprised me when I looked it up too.
That does not pass the eye test for me. Not for Toronto, at least. I feel like I've watched 3 straight blown saves by them just in the past 2 weeks. That's surprising. Yeah. That's really surprising.
All right, next game we've got 9-1-7 Cleveland Guardians, 9-1-8 Detroit Tigers from Comerica Park tonight. Guardians pretty big favorites here, minus 185. Detroit plus 170 at home, over under 7.5. This is another game where I've got to play. We're gonna have a lot of them down the stretch here. I am on no runs in the first inning at minus 130 here. Shane Bieber and Tyler Alexander, a couple guys who I think are sort of worth backing right now. Obviously, anytime you get a right-handed pitcher facing Detroit, Detroit's probably not going to score a whole lot. They're a comfortable fade in that spot. You look at Shane Bieber's baseball savant page; it's a bit of a mixed bag, but he has seen Detroit 3 times this year, dominated them twice, got hit around a little bit the third time. But you look at him recently; 3 of his last 4 starts have been really strong. And he's pitched a lot against Detroit in his career and has an ERA around 2.5. So to me, he's a guy that I trust. He's got a 0.90 first inning ERA, so I just don't think Detroit scores against him in the first inning. I'd be very surprised if they did. On the flip side, Tyler Alexander, obviously not as impressive as Shane Bieber, below average for the most part across baseball savant, but he does limit walks, which I think really helps with a first inning bet because some guys come out, a little bit finicky. They're not exactly throwing strikes. That hasn't really been an issue with him. And he actually pitched to a 2.12 July ERA. So he's looked pretty good of late. 5 innings, 2 runs in the one, August start that he had. He's pitched mostly in relief this season. So I think that actually means that, in his first inning, he's probably most comfortable. So I think it's a pretty cheap no runs first inning at -130. Cleveland doesn't really hit lefties nearly as well as they hit righties either. They're having WRC plus of 87 in that split since July 1st. So, I think Nerfy here at -130 is a sneaky good value. That's my take here. What do you got?
Yeah, I was actually just checking the score first. It's laying 2 bills on that one, so that's not going to happen. Bieber Day. He's been a terrible pitcher. Slump, really pulled himself out of the muck. Road numbers have been pretty decent this year. 3.32 ERA, oppo batting average, sub 2.5. Tigers are still a really poor performing offense. They did bust out 9 versus Tampa over the weekend, but otherwise they're still wildly underperforming. Going in quite the opposite direction. They lost 4 of their last 5. Looks like 7 of their last 9. I don't think much of Alexander, pardon me. Reliever coming out. I think he's making his 7th start. 3.5-ish ERA in his last 3. Did a pretty good job of limiting walks. Good job keeping the ball in the yard. Batted ball profile backs that up. I mean, just your very meh pitcher. Bieber. I think he does a good job keeping the Tigers at bay. I think Alexander probably keeps runs to a minimum as Cleveland still bottom half in power hitting and road home runs, but they're still very much contact hitters. They put guys on the base paths. Pardon me. Should turn into some runs today. Tigers record here, you touched on that versus right-handed pitch. It's just laughable. 428 straight up. Drill down to the home splits. They're 1-5 in Comerica in their last 6. Terrible. Guardians run line is actually a pretty reasonable price. The under might actually get there as well, but I like the Guardians run line -1.5, and I will tell you on that Nerfy.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Cool.
Next game we've got is 9-1-9 Chicago White Sox, 9-2-0 Kansas City Royals. This is game 2 of that doubleheader. We talked about game 1 that starts in about 8 minutes. This game is going to happen sometime after that one. There's no official game time for this game yet. 2 starting pitchers here. We've got Davis Martin and Jonathan Heasley, a couple of Major League Baseball's most famous starting pitchers. White Sox favorite here, -132. Royals +122. Over under 9.5. I do have a bet here again. This one, it's a Yerfie. It is yes run first inning at -115. And I'll tell you why. These 2 pitchers, Davis Martin so far this season has an ERA of 6 in the first, an ERA of 12.0 in the first inning. And Jonathan Heasley has an ERA of 6.0 in the first inning.
Awesome.
These are 2 guys who have been lit up early in games. Davis Martin has been a pretty meh starting pitcher in limited action since his call-up. His expected ERA is about 5.1. Usually goes 5 or so innings and allows 2 or 3 runs. He's not god-awful, but he's god-awful in the first inning for sure. He did face Kansas City in his Major League debut on May 17th, 5 innings, 1 earned. He's got a 4.20 ERA in the minors this year, so not exactly a guy who they're probably too excited about. You look at Jonathan Heasley, bottom 15% in basically every meaningful baseball savant category. He's pretty terrible. His expected ERA is right around 6. He actually faced off against Martin in that other game on May 17th. He gave up 3 runs in that one. You look at him recently, though, his last 5 Major League starts, he had a 9.77 ERA, mixed in with some minor league time in between there. 7.04 at home, 10.80 ERA post All-Star break, and like I said, an ERA of 6 in the first inning. So really a rough starting pitching matchup here, but I don't think there's value in the full game over at 9.5. I think that number is already appropriately inflated. But I think yes runs first inning at minus 115 is cheaper than it should. It's cheaper than it should be. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams score first inning. So that's what I think there.
Yeah, this to me reads like a perfect in-game play after you cash your Yerfie. I agree, 9.5 is probably where I would put it. 9.5. I don't see the value there. I immediately, though, I have a marker on the White Sox. Davis Martin bounced around, starter reliever, not a big strikeout guy. Good stuff. Moderate amount of walks. It's a fair number. Minus 125, minus 130-ish is where I would put the White Sox at without seeing what kind of form they come in after game number one. But Heasley, oh man, 4 runs in the last 4 starts. Super inconsistent. ERA over 9. Royals say the god awful bullpen. I mean, Heasley's going to be a fade just right out the gate. I think that's a pretty palatable number at 130 currently. So I am on it. Man, I really would like to take the White Sox team total over 4. That's moderately priced on the juice. But again, I just have to see if the bats are working at all in the first game. But it looks like a good in-game opportunity. I'm definitely with you on that Yerfie. It's a great call. But I'm going to go ahead and take the White Sox minus 130. I'll put probably about a half unit down on it and seeing how they come out of game one and what type of offensive form. I'll probably make that a whole unit or more.
Sounds good. Alrighty. On to the next one. It is the battle for Texas, 9-2-1 Texas Rangers at 9-2-2 Houston Astros. We did have one comment on this game. Thug and D commented saying that he feels a blow up for Houston today against Texas might take them minus 3.5 for 1 unit. That's certainly if you're looking for plus money, that's one way to get plus money. And I'm not ruling out the possibility of that happening. That's not a bet I would necessarily endorse, just in the sense that, I think Houston's offense is a little bit down and out, like what they did over the weekend in Cleveland. It's just not really a team that I would trust to do that right now. But I'm not telling you it won't happen. It very well might. As far as a full game handicap here, I do have another bet here, but I'll go ahead and tease that one to after BC jumps in because I've got bets on most of the games we've got left.
Yeah, the alt 3 line, right? The minus 3.5. I wouldn't recommend it. These teams, they play each other too well. This game's got underwritten all over it. When you got an under, then 3.5 runs becomes much, much harder to cover on either side. Astros are still the most profitable under team in baseball at home. They're facing Martin Perez. He threw a complete game shutout on May 20th, and they won that game 3-0. He also hasn't allowed more than 1 earned run in 4 straight starts. We talk about this guy all the time. He's paid us a ton of money. Rangers also 16-6 behind Perez. So they have been backing him up with wins. Astros are just playing their typical post-trade deadline. They won 3 just to drop 2 against Cleveland, only scoring 1 run. Somewhat of a common occurrence if you've been following the team for a while. Then they ramp up and they usually have a really, really good October that takes them to the ALCS or the World Series. Jose Urquidy, very much a bet-on pitcher at home. He's had 9 straight quality starts. 2 of them were against Rangers earlier in the season. Astros bullpen, still elite. Rangers bullpen has been a tremendous liability lately. Problem is the Astros just aren't hitting right now. There's some hesitation, though. Tucker is back in the lineup. Mancini, the newly acquired Baltimore Oriole, already has 3 home runs. 9 out of 10 of these games that they played head-to-head have paid the under. 8 runs scored or fewer. There's really good value on the Rangers at plus 160 given the Astros' current form. So I might be small on that, but I think under is going to be the play for tonight over at the Minute Maid Ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with it. I lean under. My bet here is on no runs first inning, minus 120. 3 straight first inning ones for me. Those are the only 3 on the card, to be clear. But you touched on a lot of it. Obviously, Perez, really strong contact profile. Middling K and walk numbers, but that's fine when you have that good of a contact profile. Overall, 3.17 expected ERA. That's phenomenal. 16 innings of work, 1 earned against Houston this year. Exactly 1 earned in each of his last 4 starts. You touched on that. Walks have been a little bit of an issue for him recently, but I think he's probably in a good spot to pitched pretty well here. 1.35 ERA for him post All-Star break, 2.26 ERA on the road, 1.29 in the first inning. So we like that. Houston is fifth in the league against lefties since July 1st with a WRC plus of 121. Adding Trey Mancini only helps them in that split. But, you look at Perez, he's been really good. Texas is right around average against right-handed pitching since July 1st. Jose Urquidy is weird, right? He's a guy who all year has been due negative regression if you just look at his baseball savant page. But he's got an elite walk rate, and it's one of those things where you start to think it's just probably not coming. They're probably not able to measure him as well for whatever reason. You look what he's done recently. 12.2 innings and 4 earned against Texas this year. 9 consecutive starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less. So he doesn't really blow up at all. He posted a 2.73 ERA in July, 7 shutout innings in his 1 August start, 2.25 first inning ERA, 2.30 home ERA this year. So all of that is to say that I think this Nerfy should be more like minus 160 or minus 170. I was able to get it at minus 120. I'd play it up to probably minus 140.
Yeah, I'm already on that Nerfy as well. I didn't neglect to mention that. I got it at 130. So yeah, the only thing that makes me pause is Mancini is reborn with that short left porch in the Crawford box. Jordan still socking dingers like every other time he's in the starting lineup in Houston, and Kyle Tucker back in the lineup. It feels like even if they don't go yard with those guys, they're going to put a lot of guys in the base paths against this Rangers bullpen when Perez does go out. So a bit of a concern, but again, still the most profitable under team in baseball in their home stadium. So I think we get there. Love the Nerfy. Agreed.
All right, 9-2-3 Anaheim Angels, 9-2-4 Oakland Athletics. Worth noting, I'm currently in Los Angeles, and the Angels don't play anywhere near here. It would take me about 2 hours to drive there from where I'm at right now. Just want to put that out there. But you look at this is Shohei Ohtani and James Kaprielian. These two faced each other like literally a few days ago, and I was on Oakland plus 210 on the money line. That was a sweet, delicious win.
Nice.
And part of why is because James Kaprielian's been pitching well. You look at his last 8 starts. This is earned runs allowed in each of his last 8 starts. I'm just going to rattle them off. 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, 0, 1, 1. And that last start was against Anaheim. So season-long numbers are ugly. His baseball savant page is ugly, but he's actually been pitching really well. Part of the reason why, no more than 2 walks in any of his last 6 starts. 1.93 July ERA. Also 2.69 first inning. I was looking at maybe a no-run second inning bet here because you look at that Angels lineup, there's one big threat in the whole lineup, and it's Shohei Ohtani. He's going to bat in the first inning, right? Mm-hmm. Oakland doesn't really have any big threats in the entire lineup. So I was thinking no-run second inning could be a really good look here because, look, I don't have to break down the fact that Ohtani's probably going to pitch well against Oakland. It's a terrible offense against righties, and Ohtani's really good, right? So I don't have to dive too deep into that. I think Kaprielian's underrated and should pitch well as well. As far as like value on the game, I lean Oakland on the money line. They have the better bullpen of the two as well. I was looking at no runs first inning. I was looking at no runs second inning. They're both inflated at like minus 190 and above. So while I think they're going to hit, that's just kind of silly to place that sort of a bet. So I don't have anything here, but I've got I certainly have some feelings on the game. I think Oakland line has some value at plus 160. But I look at it and I'm like, this was the same pitching matchup 5 days ago. 10 on the money line. So why, you know what I mean? I'm giving up 50 cents of value because I won that one. I'm not going to press my luck.
Fair enough. You didn't wave at the Angels ballpark as you were flying, or you were driving out of LAX? Is that what you're trying to tell us? No.
Well, I flew into Burbank, to be clear.
Burbank. Okay.
I got a totally different – but you know what you do see? You see SoFi Stadium when you fly into LAX. Right. You're actually pretty close to Dodger Stadium, but you're nowhere near Anaheim. So.
Is there such thing as a second-half Cy Young Award, Dalton? Well, there should be.
No, probably would be competing for it.
Damn right he would. He'd be in talks as second-half Cy Young hopeful. Guy's been outstanding. 3-0, 2.3 ERA, last 7, 3 runs or less in his last 8. A's also been 6-1 in that same 7-game sample of that ERA the ERA stat I gave you. It's definitely a bet on pitcher right now. A's offense, for as bad as it's been all season, they're getting him the dubs. Are they? My concern here is that they were stymied last night versus Suarez. So how do they expect to do against Sheo tonight? Ohtani's still over 13 strikeouts per 9. His last 3 has just been masterful, 2 or less. He's only getting 2 runs of support though in both those games, or both those 3 combined. You check his game log; that included some trips to Houston and Atlanta. So I mean, he's getting it done, just getting it done. If he hopes to get the dub tonight, he might have to pick up the damn bat himself, because the Angels are just terrible. Again, he's a one-man show, literally a one-man show, especially with Trout still being out. A's still a friendly pitcher park. Both these pitchers just dueled, like you said last week. That game ended 3-1 in favor of Oakland. You got to like Oakland here, even with Ohtani on the mound, because the Angels bullpen has still been a tremendous liability, and they're still poor hitting. The A's bullpen's top 10 in a bunch of categories this month, full complement as well. Because Irvin, he went 8 sets, and I think their closer, I forgot who came in to close, he threw less than 20 pitches. So I like the A's. I will, however, go ahead and take the 1.5 run insurance. You can do A's run line plus 1.5. You can get that for minus 120. And I took the Nerfy early. I got the Nerfy at minus 155. So I really like that one as well. Those would be my plays. I wouldn't play it past 155 if you can't find that in your book on that Nerfy. But A's run line plus 1.5. That is one that I'm playing tonight.
Yeah, actually, I like the value on that run line quite a bit. I might take a look at that. All right. Next game, we have got the Yankees and the Mariners. That's going to be Garrett Cole and Luis Castillo, 925, 926. Once again, I have a play here. I also have just a ton of notes on this game. These two starting pitchers saw each other. So I'll let you go ahead and go through what you've got, and then I'll probably sit here and talk for a couple minutes because I got a lot on this game.
Well, I'll keep mine real short then. Cole looking to go more than 1 inning this time out versus Castillo. Cole's been really good, though. He's been much, much better of late, but he's still a liability on the road. He's getting crushed hard on barrels and hard hit rates, and otherwise his stuff's been elite-ish. You take a look at Savant page, still damn good looking pitcher's page. Castillo in a Reds jersey or in a Mariners jersey, he just dominates the Yankees. I mean, it's great numbers even this season. Only 4 allowed and 13 and 2/3 pitched. Mariners offense is sputtering big time, though. Yankees, in spite of that 5-game skid, they're still mashers, still 6th in WRC and WOBA. Probably a good bounce back spot for Cole, even though he is out on the road. Castillo is going to dominate. This is what he does against the Bronx Bombers. Here's my big concern, man. This injury report is jarring. You got Anthony Rizzo, Matt Carpenter, Jesse Winker. They just announced, Service just announced that Julio Rodriguez and Dylan Moore aren't going to be making their debut today and probably tomorrow. A lot of key starters are out. Looks like a pretty good under spot for me. It's a low number 7, but I'll probably go ahead and take it. What do you think, man?
We might be on opposite sides. I'm on first 5 over 3 at minus 120. I think that's a unbelievably low number.
Yeah, that's a good number.
In the first 5. It's just it just doesn't pass the smell test for me. To me, the Ohtani Caprillion first 5 number should be lower than this one, and it's not. As far as my notes, I mean, look, with Garrett Cole, elite swing and miss stuff. The K numbers are great. The whiff numbers are great. The stuff is elite. But it's just the contact profile hasn't been great. He's been getting barreled up a lot. He's allowing some slug. His expected ERA is still 3.1. So that's great, right? That's better than a season-long ERA. But, his recent results have not been good enough. His last 6 starts, 4.30 ERA, 4 or more runs allowed in 4 of his last 6 starts. So it's not just the last one against Seattle. He's been struggling a little bit. His ERA on the road this year is almost 4.5. His ERA after the All-Star break is 7.0. It's not a great situation with Garrett Cole right now. And, obviously Seattle just saw him and hit him well. I wouldn't be surprised if he bounces back. But for this number to be 3 in the first 5, I think either one of these teams might cover that number themselves. Now, I get it. A lot of injuries to the lineups, but I think if the number it's hard for me to be concerned about that when the number's this low, especially when both of these teams just saw the opponent. Luis Castillo, you mentioned the fact that he's faced the Yankees a lot recently. This is his third time facing them since July 14th, 3 times in 4 starts. And look, he's been good, obviously, 13 2/3, 4 earned, but his first start was a lot better than his second. He gave up 1 run in the first over 7 innings, 3 runs and 6 2/3 in the second start. So good, both starts were good, but the first one was a lot better. And this is a Yankees team that when you let them see a guy 3 times in just a few weeks, I'm going to start wanting to back that offense a little bit, figure him out. And so to me, it just doesn't make any sense to have a first 5 number at 3. I would have made it 4, even 3.5. I would find somewhat understandable and probably wouldn't be itching to play. But at 3, I don't know. I mean, I get these are 2 good starting pitchers, but these are also decent offenses. I mean, the Yankees are second in baseball against righties since July 1st. And, they're missing a few guys, but I don't know. I mean, Garrett Cole he's given up 4 earned runs or more in 4 of his last 6. I don't know. This is the type of first 5 number I'd expect to see in like a Max Fried, Jacob deGrom game or something, So that's where I'm at with it. First 5 over 3 to me, it's just the number's too low.
Yeah, I mean, 7 was just a lean, just kind of hoping that Cole, had some positive regression, some positive road regression, and Castillo keeps doing what he's doing, and they're missing so many bats out of both lineups. But if you take a look at their season head-to-head, 3-0-1 to the over. Over 8, over 7, over 8.5, push. Interestingly enough, when they met head-to-head last season after the All-Star break, 5 straight unders. So, yeah, trends, you gave some good analysis on it. It's a stay away from me. I'll probably just watch because I like to boo Garrett Cole. But, yeah, good luck with that.
Alrighty. I'm going to be heavy on these next few games. I've got 2 plays on this one, 9-2-7 Braves at 9-2-8 Red Sox. Both plays are kind of in the same vein. But I'll let you go ahead and start this one off.
Yeah, I mean, it's Red Sox, fade them again, right? Grandpa Hill, looking either too old or too broken down. I got absolutely hammered his last start. 6.49 ERA at home. He's not going to be long for this game. The rest of the Red Sox team are terrible. 6-11 since the break, I think. 3-7 at home. Morton's pitching better. 2.75 ERA in his last 7. 2 runs or fewer. Last 6 of 8, it looks like. Walks and home runs have been down. His bullpen, though, is still the best in the majors as far as ERA. Bogarts, Devers, they're all seeing the ball well. I saw Hill and I saw the Red Sox, and then I saw the Braves maybe coming in with a little bit of extra motivation. I know we don't really cap motivation, but they got embarrassed by New York. So I think they sock it to the Red Sox tonight because they have been a fade team for a while now. So 150, it's palatable. I'll be small. I'll give me the Braves minus 150.
Yep. I'm on the Braves minus 150. I'm also on the Braves run line minus 1.5. Those are my 2 plays here. When the run line comes in, I got a plus 102. Okay. Look, this is just a beautiful spot at Atlanta. Boston taking on Charlie Morton. They're 25th against right-handers since July 1st. Atlanta superior against lefties over that time. I mean, they're not great, but they're around average. Atlanta is obviously the far superior team between these two. I think we've seen that bear itself out in the last couple of months very clearly. Charlie Morton's baseball savant page reads around average, but I think most of the reason for that is that early in the season he struggled, and really since May he's figured it out. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in 6 of his last 8. The exceptions were against teams in Philly and New York who see him a ton and are pretty decent offenses. Boston doesn't fall in that category for me. They're 25th against righties, like I said, since July 1st. I don't think they're going to score a ton here. You look at the 2 bullpens. Atlanta 4.45 since July 15th. That's not great. Boston 7.46 since July 15th, worst in baseball. Then I go and I look at the other side and I say, okay, well, what do we got with Rich Hill? Obviously, he's below average across the board in baseball savant. He's working his way back from an injury to where he's probably only going to throw 4 innings in this one, meaning more exposure to that awful Boston bullpen. He's also allowed 7 earned runs in 7.2 innings since July 1st. You touched on how bad his numbers are at Fenway Park. This is a smash spot for me in Atlanta. So I'm splitting up my 2 units. I'm putting a unit on the money line, putting a unit on the run line. I think Atlanta gets up early and often here.
Well, then I am putting an extra unit on the Braves. Very good.
Let's do it.
I'll let you run with this last one. I did not do too much with this game. I got interrupted by some other stuff, but fire away on Rays and Brewers.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've got two more plays here again. Rays and Brewers, 929-930. Brewers, decent favorites, -158. Jimmy Yacobonis and Freddie Peralta on the bump in this one. I am all over the overs here. I have a 2-unit play on the full game over at 7.5, and I have a 1-unit play on the first 5 over at 4, -115. Here's kind of why. You look at Freddie Peralta, mostly elite on his Baseball Savant page, but he's had walk issues. Those walk issues haven't been as prevalent after his first few starts, but they came back a little bit in his first start back. First start back against Pittsburgh, 3.2 innings, 2 earned, not a ton there, right? He's likely still on a low pitch count, like I said. I think you're looking at maybe 4, maybe 5 innings out of him if he pitches well. But Tampa's 6th in baseball against righties since July 1st with a WRC plus of 120. You know who's been even better? Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 4th in WRC plus against righties since July 1st. And they're taking on a guy in Jimmy Yacobonis who has a 7.08 expected ERA. You never see expected ERAs that high. You typically only see actual ERAs that high. And his actual ERA is 9. So he's been awful, mostly in relief appearances as a Marlin. He has one appearance since joining the Rays. He recorded 2 outs and allowed 3 earned runs as a right-handed pitcher to Detroit. So that tells you all you need to know about the type of pitcher Jimmy Yacobonis is right now. ERA of 15.0 in the month of July. He's probably going to pitch 1 inning in this game and get blown up in that 1 inning. And then we're going to get a full game of both bullpens. I think we're going to get at least, between the 2 bullpens, we're going to get at least 13 innings. Milwaukee's bullpen ranks 29th since July 15th. Tampa's is right around the middle of the pack. I just think this is the type of game where both these teams have been killing righties. Milwaukee at home especially has been putting up runs. I think this game, the 7.5 might make some sense to me if this game were being played in Tampa. But Milwaukee's ballpark does not play similarly to the way the Trop plays. So over 7.5, I just think that line's wrong. I'd make it 8.5. So I'm putting 2 units on the over there. First 5 over 4 as well. I think Yacobonis blows up. I don't think Peralta is sharp or ready to go yet. He didn't look it in his first start back from injury. So I like both overs here.
Nice.
And then the last game on the board tonight is the most important Italy game of the night. I'm actually going to be leaving for Dodger Stadium in a few hours here to go take this one in. It's going to be the Minnesota Twins and the LA Dodgers. Joe Ryan on the bump for the Twins. Julio Urias on the mound for the Dodgers. Dodgers, big favorites as they normally are, -220. Over under 8 in this one. I am going to be backing the Dodgers on the run line, -1.5. I've got that at -109. Honestly, this is one of those where it's just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When young right-handed pitchers pitch on the road at Dodger Stadium the last couple of years, it doesn't typically go well. It's a ballpark that puts a lot of pressure on you. It's a team that puts a lot of pressure on you, and they're playing really just excruciatingly well right now. They're 30-5 in their last 35 games. Joe Ryan is a guy that I'm usually high on. His Baseball Savant page is a bit average. I just don't think this is a very comfortable spot for him or really for any young right-handed pitcher. And when he comes out of that game, Dodgers do have the better bullpen between the two as well. Minnesota's bullpen ranks 24th since July 15th. Looking at the other side, a couple other stats on Joe Ryan: 7.04 post All-Star break, 4.57 on the road this year. So if there's ever a time to fade him, I think it's in a spot like this at Dodger Stadium. Looking at Julio Urias, I think it's safe to say he is an ace. He's above average everywhere on Savant, elite in some spots. His expected ERA is 2.83. That's one of the best you'll see. Pitched to a 2.20 ERA in June, 2.89 in July, and 6 shutout innings so far in August. I say all of that to say that he's remarkably consistent. He will have 2 or 3 blow-up starts a year. They usually happen on the road in Colorado. Other than that, he's been absolutely lights out. Dodgers, number 1 team in baseball against right-handed pitching. Twins, middle of the pack against lefties. This is just one of those things. The Dodgers cover the run line most of their wins, and they've been winning almost every game for the better part of the last 2 months. So, pardon me while I pound my chest with my Dodgers here. I think Dodgers -1.5 is absolutely play at -109.
Yeah. If you're done homering and fanboy out, we can get an unbiased view. I'm just kidding, man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's going to be the Dodgers, but I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I actually was kind of looking at the under. You said it yourself. Urias is an ace now, and his few blowups they don't happen outside of Chavez Ravine. Um, the Twins not great against left-handed pitching. WRC number is about middle of the pack. Um, really limiting his hard hit. I don't see any way that the Twins are going to put runs up tonight against Urias, and I think he'll eat some innings as well. As good as Joe Ryan is, this looks to me like it's going to be maybe a 4-5 to maybe a 1-4-5 or maybe even 0-5 game. I think this pretty safely comes in under because I think Ryan does a good enough job of containing the Dodgers offense. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this one. I didn't quite get as much digging as I wanted to in this game, but I usually just count on you for all the stats that I need to make a decision. First glance at this, I say the under is the move. I'll do some more digging. I'll probably post to that effect, but I'm with you on Giants run line. I'm looking at it minus 125 right now.
Sounds good. Well, just to recap our best bets for today, I'll go ahead and start. I've got a whopping 12 of them today. Bit of an uncomfortable amount of action, but I was telling BC before the show, my standards for what becomes a bet don't change. So sometimes that's going to yield 3 or 4. Sometimes it's going to yield 12. Whatever it is, I play them when I post them. So if I'm losing, if they lose, I'm losing too. But running through them, Philadelphia to score first, Pittsburgh first 5 plus 140, Toronto first 5 laying the half run, Cleveland and Detroit no runs in the first inning, White Sox and Royals game 2 runs in the first inning, yes. Rangers Astros no runs in the first inning, Yankees and Mariners first 5 innings over 3, Atlanta on the money line and Atlanta on the run line, Tampa Bay and Milwaukee first 5 and full game over, and Dodgers minus 1.5.
This evening, I'll be playing the Phillies run line minus 1.5, Cubs run line minus 1.5, the Royals first 5 money line. My big play tonight is the Cardinals run line minus 1.5. I also am pretty heavy on the Guardians run line minus 1.5. I like the White Sox money line in game 2, along with the Yerfie. Astros Rangers, give me under 8 and give me the Nerfie there. Angels at A's. Nerfie, I got it at 155. So if there's any more juice in that, don't worry about it. But give me the A's run line plus 1.5. Braves money line, and then the Dodgers run line minus 1.5 with probably a small play on the under 8 at even money.
All right, sounds good. Well, good long show today. Ton of games on the board. Appreciate anybody who took the time to join us. A lot of fun. I will not be around on Thursday. It'll be up to BC for a Touch 'em All show on Thursday, but should be an exciting night of baseball. As always, you can find our plays on SportsMap Elite every day of the week. That'll continue to be the case, and hopefully we continue to win the way we have been. So appreciate everybody's time. The Angels are nowhere near me right now as I sit here in Los Angeles. Goodness, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.